Why do you believe that Laci was alive on the morning of December 24th?
There were over 14 witnesses who reported seeing Laci and or Mackenzie walking in the neighborhood.
14 witnesses that said, I saw Laci Peterson that morning and or Mackenzie the dog.
They are tips that were called into the tip line. Some of them aren't specific saying they saw Laci, but they're saying they saw a pregnant woman.
Well, that's different than what you said.
Retriever.
You said you had 14 witnesses that saw Laci that morning, and that's not true.
Okay, you have 14. The problem is they weren't ever interviewed properly to determine whether or not they had seen Laci.
That is not a matter of record. There are 14 witnesses that said they saw what they thought was maybe a pregnant woman or an overweight woman walking with a large dog.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long way from saying, I saw Laci Peterson with Mackenzie the dog.
Okay, so if a pregnant woman goes missing, the family is pleading with the public to call in, and you live in her neighborhood and you call in and you say, between 10 and 10:30, I was backing out of my driveway and I saw a large woman with dark hair walking a large dog. That woman should get a phone call back. The police didn't call these people back.
Oh, she should get more than a phone call back. She should get a visit. She should be briefed. She should be interviewed. She should be shown pictures.
So how can Scott be on death row when there's evidence that his wife was alive walking the neighborhood?
I don't disagree with you that those people should have been followed up on, but to say you have 14 witnesses that said they saw Laci Peterson and Dog Mackenzie that morning is an overstatement, isn't it?
Correct, because they weren't followed up on.
Yeah.
There's no other person that's been identified that those people could have been seeing.
Yeah.
If they're not seeing Laci, who are they seeing? It was Laci.
One of these witnesses was a mailman.
Correct.
Who says the dog was not in the yard during the time a neighbor said they put the dog in the yard. Let's take a look at this.
This bulletin board covers the events of December 24th, a 1-hour time frame from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You have Scott's activities here from 10 to 11 a.m. He's leaving for the warehouse. He arrives at his warehouse. He logs onto his computer. He's on his computer pretty much from 10:30 in the morning until almost 10:57. This is when you start having witnesses in the neighborhood saying that they saw Laci walking the dog that day. At the time of the trial, it was a major factor whether or not these witnesses had actually seen Laci. But the newly found evidence is that the mailman came down the street between 10:35 and 10:50 the morning of December 24th. The mailman signed an affidavit that said if Mackenzie was in the yard or in the house, he would bark at the mailman. And on December 24th, the mailman came by and Mackenzie was not on the property. Basically what this means is that Laci grabbed Mackenzie and went on her walk. One of these witnesses called in on December 30th, and she said she was backing out of her driveway when she saw someone that looked like Laci walking a very large dog. She said the woman looked heavyset and wasn't certain if she was pregnant. She said she saw this woman between 10 and 10:30 a.m. She called the police on December 30th, and she was never called back, ever. It's not possible for Scott to be guilty when Laci's walking the dog.
Okay, now let me say this postman's statement that he was there between 10:35 and 10:50 is not really a guesstimate on his part, because to keep track of the route, there's certain checkpoints where he meters his progress, so we kind of know when he was where. So that's pretty accurate, right?
Yes.
So here you do have some pretty specific evidence of where he was and when he was there.
And same with the woman who put the dog back in the yard. There's a forensic component to that as well, based on receipts.
Okay. Now, if she put the dog in the yard at 10:18 and he was there at 10:35 to 10:50, if she put the dog in the yard at 10:18
and closed the gate,
then why wouldn't the dog be there when he got there?
Because Laci took the dog on a walk.